Easy travel hack. If you fly out of Tampa and it's an early morning flight, you want a couple more minutes of sleep. Go to the short-term parking, go straight down, check your bags, come back out, it's free, and then park at the economy lot. Bing, bang, boom. Don't have to worry about getting your bags there on time, and you have a little bit more time to get to your gate. Welcome to my favorite city in America, and Cafe du Monde. The coffee's terrible, but their beignets are amazing. I'm hitting the city, it seems like a dozen times a year. Last year alone, I mean, I think Louisiana was in the cone of uncertainty at least 5 times. 4 storms hit it. Most recently, Hurricane Zeta, which was upgraded to Category 3 and made landfall almost identically to where Ida, who's gaining strength in the Gulf, is apparently headed as well. They're along the southeast Louisiana coastline. We're gonna see. Each storm's different. And I'm here. Beat the storms in, early morning flight. Today we're going to focus purely on prep. A lot of people will be prepping. This is the first real major storm of the year for Louisiana. And if there's a state that knows how to handle it, it's these people. I love this city. I mean, obviously, it's a party city, which is a big reason why I love it, and the anarchy of it all. You can see him coming a mile away. Look at this setup. Just set it on top. We're gonna need more water than that.
I know. That's what they had. And I've got 12 bottles of Body Light or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
So,
Brandon, how you feeling?
aggravated.
Because you couldn't find your terminal and.
Yes. I mean, the sign is, I mean, it's like 10 years in the making. They couldn't figure that out any better than they did.
Well, again, my favorite part about this airport.
It took me 20 minutes to get from over there to right here.
Yeah, no, it's a beautiful airport. Like the new terminal's beautiful.
Yeah, it's gorgeous from the inside if you're flying in.
So before this though, they built the brand new rental car center, which you could access from the old terminal just by a walkway.
Right.
In 5 minutes.
Right.
Now you have to get on a bus. They take you through like warehouse neighborhood, like it's a 30-minute jaunt. You should. I don't know where we are.
Yeah.
And then so then
they have makeshift signs.
So, and then you still type in the GPS, and it'll take you either this one or the other one. It'll never take you to the one you want.
Right.
So yeah, that's New Orleans.
And you want to sign for a couple $100 million, you get a fucking poster board and some markers.
Well, the only sign that I love here is this is the only sign that I've ever seen like this. It's the FBI tip line sign. I've never seen that for corruption. Like to be a whistleblower. I've never seen an FBI whistleblower sign anywhere else in the United States.
Yeah.
Except right here, right outside the airport.
Yeah.
In New Orleans.
And they probably feed that information directly to the politicians.
Yeah. So what we got going on today?
All right, we're gonna go shoot the Superdome.
The Superdome or the Smoothie Center?
The Superdome.
The Superdome isn't where they're doing it though, is it? I think the Smoothie Center
is where they're doing what?
Is where the evacuation is.
I don't know.
I'm 99% sure
it's next door to it.
Yeah.
Because the Saints game's gonna get canceled.
Are you gonna drone it?
I'm gonna drone the Superdome.
Yeah.
Because the Saints game's gonna get canceled.
Okay.
And then we're gonna go do evacuations.
Down in Grand Isle?
Probably.
Or like Jean Lafitte?
Grand Isle.
All right. What do you think about?
And Homa is going to be an absolute shit show.
Yeah. Do you really think that Homa's going to be that bad? Because I mean, last year they didn't do anything.
For what?
Any storm. I didn't see Homa.
What did they have to worry about?
Zeta, Delta.
Zeta they thought was going to be nothing. Delta was a Cat 1. It doesn't scare them.
Yeah.
Now they're in the bullseye of a Cat 3. They're going to freak out.
This will be my first year where I've actually seen Louisianians freak out. Because I've never seen them freak out. Even for Laura, I didn't really see them freak out. But again, Laura was a Cat 1 and then blew up to a Cat 4 within 24 hours. So they weren't expecting a major hurricane.
It's times like these that you find out what's really important is just what you can fit in the back of your car.
So we got everything off the walls, out the closets that's, valuable.
Stripping a home of what's important before Hurricane Ida can.
I think I was like 10 whenever we did the camp, so lots of memories. Just in fact, taking the pictures off the walls, you know, so many memories you forget about, but you're seeing as you're removing everything.
Hurricane Zeta was the last major hurricane to make landfall right here in Cocatrie, and that was just last October. And despite there still being some damage about, that's not the hurricane that people around here still talk about.
We haven't been this nervous since Andrew.
The pressure to get away can be dangerous. Distraction, fear, or just impatience can lead to injury. An entire coastline of Louisiana that knows they need to escape before Hurricane Ida catches up.
Once it comes across Terrebonne Bay, which is just right south, there's nothing to stop it. You know, there's no levees. All levees are up north.
It's a long goodbye, living for days with the uncertainty of what will happen to what was left behind.
Is there a feeling that you have, like, in your gut when you leave the place for the last time?
Sick. Very sick.
In Cocatrie, Louisiana, I'm Jonathan Petramala.
So it's day 2 here in Louisiana. We're in Morgan City, and you can see there's a line of cars all the way down this road. They're waiting to get on the highway and just make it inland. They're trying to get out of the way of Hurricane Ida, likely going to make landfall at least, according to the NHC right now, 140 miles per hour, category 4 hurricane, a major hurricane. Very, very scary times for a lot of people here in Louisiana, and at least people are taking precautions, and they're getting inland and they're getting west, and they're trying just the best they can to get away. For a hurricane like this, you can never have enough gas. Power's going to be out for a long time, most likely, and there's no other way to do our job but to have gas and to get around. He's droning the massive backup of traffic from the evacuations here in Baton Rouge at the intersection of I-12 and I-10. Everybody just trying to get out. You're talking about hundreds of thousands of people probably trying to evacuate ahead of this storm. So yeah, it's a long day for people, very stressful. There's a lot of frustration, obviously, a lot of people that really need to have patience, and this is a very nerve-wracking day, very high-stress day. But this line of traffic that stretches for miles here on Highway 90 outside of Morgan City, this is a really, really good sign. This means people are taking Hurricane Ida very seriously. And this type of traffic on this highway and highways all throughout here in Louisiana, this is something you really rarely see. This amount of people leaving. It's because Hurricane Ida is just not another hurricane. This has the potential to be absolutely catastrophic to the coastline here in Louisiana. Meteorologists, emergency planners will tell you in any tropical cyclone, 90% of fatalities happen because of water. Half of those are because of storm surge. Right now, the forecast for Hurricane Ida has it at 10 to 15 feet of storm surge between right here in Morgan City, all the way east to the mouth of the Mississippi. That is unsurvivable storm surge. And fortunately, tens of thousands of people here in Louisiana are taking that seriously. They're leaving the coast, they're heading north, they're heading west, and away from the projected path of Hurricane Ida. All right, leaving the hotel. You can already see the outer bands here of Hurricane Ida. Those clouds are moving around and that cyclonic action. This might be one of the worst days in history for Louisiana or New Orleans. Gotta get my final snacks, because who knows when we're gonna have food again. All right, I'm editing what's my first look live of the day from the parking lot, just basically talking about the conditions, what we expect, etc. You can already see and you can hear we have some gust. This is from the outer bands of Hurricane Ida that's making its way right here to southeastern Louisiana. People here waking up to some really bad news. This storm has strengthened into, as you heard, a Cat 4, and it might get even stronger to that rare and extremely dangerous Cat 5 level. And again, you can kind of see some of the breeze that's coming in. We've had a little bit of rain so far this morning as well, and overnight you can see some ponding on the roadways. You can see conditions already are getting worse here in New Orleans, and on the radar on his computer you can see a very well-defined eye from Hurricane Ida Brandon, I mean, nobody has more experience than you really on these systems. How are you feeling this morning, first of all?
I'm nervous as hell for New Orleans, southeast Louisiana. I grew up in Louisiana, so I know southwest side is all torn up from Laura still and losing population, and now central and southeastern Louisiana is about to get destroyed too. So it's nervous because the place I love is about to get, you know, obliterated. No other way to put it. And then I'm nervous for New Orleans because the levee systems just aren't designed to hold this. So they're going to get tested, and if they break, we could have another Katrina-like situation. Except there's actually more people in the city now because there weren't mandatory evacuations. So yeah, it could be bad. Just trying to prepare for everything that could happen today. There's no way to prepare for everything because these things throw surprises at you left and right. But prepare enough to where, you know, we could be safe, do our job, and be able to sustain several days without any type of food, drink, communication, etc. So.
What has you the most worried when you're talking about the impacts? Is it really the levees right now? Is that because we talk about hype, not impact, or hype, not hype, impacts. That's what we really concentrate on. So
I don't hype. I never hype. I downplay too much of anything. The Grand Isle is just going to be obliterated to the point I don't know if it's ever going to be rebuilt. It was already trying to hold on, losing so much coastline as water rises. That's, you know, a lot of homes down there that may never be again. Coquetry, you know, a place a lot of people love and go fishing out of, they'd be gone. Venice Marina in the Venice area, it could be similar to Hurricane Katrina with this massive surge that comes through. So a lot of your fishing and industry is going to be destroyed. A lot of your ports for oil is going to be destroyed. It's going to have a huge economic impact. It's a whole lot to it. As far as New Orleans, I don't know. Nobody knows. It's never been tested like this before. It's not designed for this. And I never assume anything in New Orleans is over-engineered.
It's before 8 a.m. on landfall day. This is 16 years to the day of Hurricane Katrina. Each storm's different. You can't ever say, well, it was like this in this storm. Well, you can use it as a benchmark, but you can't expect that that's going to be the same conditions.
No, this one's stronger than Katrina, but it's not nearly as big. This is a Cat 4, Cat 5 coming in. Katrina was Cat 3, but you can throw cats out the window. Katrina was huge. I mean, 6 of these storms put together would be a Katrina. It was just massive. When you get those massive storms, it produces just a tremendous amount of surge.
Well, there are signs of one last party here on Bourbon Street overnight, but this morning, ahead of Hurricane Ida, it is an absolute ghost town on Bourbon Street. This is the French Quarter. This is the high ground. This is where the city of New Orleans was founded. These buildings have been here for well over 300 years, and so the hope is that they'll be able to survive what could be the worst hurricane ever to make landfall in the state of Louisiana, at least on record. One of the scary things you see, though, you do see some people out, homeless, people that are visiting maybe from out of town and don't have the resources to find someplace safe to go, and I was able to speak to one of those gentlemen who is concerned, and he still doesn't know where he's going to be when Ida hits.
That and some prayers and stuff, you know, that's all I can do at this point. Yeah, people are saying, oh, you shouldn't be here, especially on Facebook and stuff, but it's like, how do I get out? And that has always been the problem.
As in any natural disaster, unfortunately, the most vulnerable with the least amount of resources will be impacted the most in these natural disasters like Hurricane Ida. City of New Orleans does not have a mandatory evacuation in place. It is a shelter-in-place order. There have been some boards put up on some windows, a few sandbags here or there, but basically, if you do not have a shelter right now, you need to find one soon.
We've had a few tough little storms come through and take out all our electricity and everything, and we've actually stayed open by candlelight for people to come in and get what they need.
If you guys aren't open, where do people go at this point?
I don't think there's anything left other than us. I think we're like the last resort.
So this is the storm reduction system behind me. You can see the floodgate blocking the highway. This is Highway 90, and you can see what's ahead of me. The storm surge, just the beginning of it. This is what these levees were rebuilt for, the flood walls, everything trying to protect the city of New Orleans. Hurricane Ida is going to be the first real test this has had since they were rebuilt after Katrina. So we're at Lake Pontchartrain, which is right in front of us. You can see just waves smashing, crashing over this wall, surging into this lakefront park. Behind us is a levee, so homes are protected, but the water here is rising very quickly, and it's impressive to see some of these gusts we're already getting, as well as seeing these waves in Lake Pontchartrain. So how do you fill up with no electricity in a hurricane? Well, you pull into the Superdome's parking garage in the middle of the hurricane eyewall
And just pump away.
Pump it up, pump it, pump it, pump it up, pump it up. All right, we have somebody possibly in a car stuck in an overpass. I have my waders on. I'm gonna try my best to get to him. I don't know how deep it is though. If it gets to around my chest, I can't get there. See if anybody's in here. I don't think anybody's in here. Hello? 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 Anybody in here? Nobody in here. Nobody in here. God. Hello? That water's too deep, I can't get to it. You gotta come in through the other way. Just getting blasted now by the eye wall. God, that was terrifying. A nurse on her way to deliver medication stranded in floodwater. Sobbing and overwhelmed as an off-duty Italian Navy officer who also stranded his car in the same underpass took action to help.
I mean, the most important thing is stay calm, do not panic, because of course, like, the first thing is that you won't manage to open your car doors, right? And that's something that make you panicking, right? That's it.
Chaos on I-10. Even I waded in to make sure no one was trapped in steadily rising water. Fortunately, this driver had already gotten out. Sadly, after we left, we learned another driver, though, wasn't as fortunate.
It was too late. I probably did CPR on him and for probably about 20-30 minutes before any help got out, but he didn't make it.
Hurricane Ida also brought wicked winds that tore through New Orleans. The winds whipping and amplified by skyscrapers taking the city apart piece by piece as the sun set.
You have windows being busted out, debris being sprayed everywhere, being ripped apart. You have buildings like over here, the roof ripped completely off. It's a cyclonic action. It's like tornadoes being whipped through here.
Even as the hurricane passed, the emergencies it created continue.
It's 2:30 in the morning. We're on, where are we, I-10?
Yeah, on a high-rise I-10 to get internet.
To get internet, ready, videos, trying to send them in. You thought yesterday was long, like today's gonna be longer. This is the hardest part.
Oh, no doubt. Overcoming the adrenaline crash.
The adrenaline crash, plus you know like what the day is gonna bring, which is like getting video of impacts and then having, you know, to try and find the stories.
And then my main plan fell through tonight.
Yeah.
With the helicopter pilot.
Usually he gets a helicopter to fly around damage, because it's just, that's the only way to access it, especially down there. And a tree fell into his helicopter pilot's house.
At like 11 o'clock tonight.
So we got to figure out another option tomorrow. And by tomorrow, I mean like 3 hours from now. So I don't know.
With no comms.
Yeah, cell phone service is sketchy at best. We're gonna do our best. So despite facing its largest test since they were rebuilt after Hurricane Katrina, the hurricane risk reduction system did its job for the most part. Unfortunately, some smaller levees on the other side of this gate around the town of Braithwaite, they were overtopped and water did rush in. But this, as you can see, is holding it back. The biggest test the system has faced, and definitely raised some questions if they need to be strengthened, because it seems these storms are getting stronger and they're hitting with more frequency right here in Louisiana. So I'm here near Jean Lafitte. Right there you see a local most likely trying to go help rescue people. A levee was overtopped in that small town where we drove through actually yesterday morning, and water's 9-10 feet deep in spots, and so people are trapped in their homes. And there's a massive, again, effort underway with people with boats and government officials trying to get out there, save who they're doing. I'm doing another British interview. I think I've been on BBC 3 times today. Good Morning Britain. So you might be asking yourself, Jonathan, have you been wearing the same outfit for 2 straight days? Yeah. What have you been eating? All right, I guess I'll count this as meal number 2. So what is this, day 5?
I don't know.
It's Tuesday. We slept in Homa at a friend's house. We're driving through Golden Meadow. This is where we rode out, literally, Hurricane Zeta, last major hurricane back in October. And just driving down here on Highway 1, it's night and day, the difference in terms of damage. It's incredible. Things were damaged, of course, after Zeta. I mean, they're wiped out here. And that just was really not the case as widespread with Zeta. Zeta, of course, was a smaller storm.
Zeta messes
but look at that.
Zeta messes place up pretty good.
Car wash.
Like this.
Yeah. Nothing like this. Rouse's at least looks pretty good. I like that Rouse's. But yeah, it's very, 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 very much more widespread and massive amount of damage here. Listen, we're trying to get a helicopter. For whatever reason, it's not working. We're not getting luck. We're going to try and drive into Grand Isle, Port Fourchon, that area, and basically do our job. We've shot a hospital being evacuated in Homa. Massive amount, effort being put forth to evacuate every single patient from the 2 hospitals in Homa. I've never seen anything like it. Helicopter, ambulances lined up. Bad down here in South Louisiana.
Louisiana is dealing with 2 disasters simultaneously. One you can easily see, and one you can't.
I think I counted 28 people that I personally know close that came down with COVID. Since then, it's been uncountable. Like, it's been more people and more people.
Jeannie Ardwin's best friend has been in the ICU in Terrebonne General Hospital for a month with COVID. until Hurricane Ida arrived.
But I had a friend that was here on a vent with COVID. We just found out today that they shipped all the patients out, so we don't know where she went.
Every patient from the hospital in Houma had to be evacuated after the storm. The most serious by air and everyone else by ambulances from around the state.
We're working with the Ambulance Alliance for the state of Louisiana, and it's also FEMA sponsored. And we're moving patients out of the hospitals down here to any hospital in Texas, Louisiana, or Mississippi that can take them.
With the electrical grid obliterated by the hurricane, even with generators, it wasn't enough for the hospital to be able to continue to treat patients.
The way the generators, as I understand it, only power up key essential areas of the hospital, like surgery, the ER obviously, but not having been through this hospital totally, I have to assume the power situation's bad if they're moving people out of here.
A pandemic and then a major hurricane, it's like a levee that's overtopped.
So they lost their dad and then their mom went in the hospital the same day, and it's been about 4 weeks now. And now the hurricane, they've had to evacuate with their grandmother, and they don't know where their mom's at.
A perfect storm that not even a hospital can help.
Okay, here's what's crazy. We literally rode out Hurricane Zeta right here. There are homes here. They're absolutely gone. I have video of a roof exploding off that home that's completely gone back there. A boat was floating in the middle of the road. The surge was coming over in Zeta, just a few feet. It didn't quite get up to where we were back there. I mean, again, this is just a much different scene from what we saw. There was the seafood shed, gone. There was people's homes right here, gone. They rode out Zeta in that home. It was a not very raised, that was a scary situation for them. Wow. So we just came over the bridge into the main stretch of Grand Isle. This is on the corner. There's a marina. This was a hotel, very popular for folks coming down to visit. You hear that beeping. It's really common after these hurricanes. It powers out, and whatever alarm systems from buildings left standing will drone on for days and days and days. That repetitive sound is just something you kind of get used to. But you can tell the power of this water on the exposed broadside front, because the beach, of course, is right behind me, the Gulf of Mexico, and the water and the force just wrecked this like a giant's hand, just swept whatever was there, the structure, away. The piling's obviously much sturdier, but the exposed plywood and structure of the motel completely gone. One thing I always look for, and I usually find, are names. People name their boats, they name their houses, their camps. This White House here is named Halfway to Heaven. Half the houses here now are gone.
It's a scene so shocking, lifetime residents of Grand Isle couldn't even bring themselves to cry.
When I first got onto the island, I was numb, very overwhelmed, numb. I couldn't even cry.
Officials say every single structure on the island suffered damage, but if you still have a structure, you're a lucky one.
This is 3 to 5 times worse than Katrina.
What's the difference?
The destruction. Every structure here has some kind of damage.
It looks unsurvivable, and yet somehow a few residents stayed and are alive to describe a decision they regret.
Una cosa muy dramática de miedo, de orden, porque fatal.
He says it was very dramatic, fatal, because of the water everywhere.
Al revés.
Alex Lopez and 3 other Honduran nationals that are on the island to work in the shrimping industry say the water was between 8 to 12 feet.
8 a 12 pies.
The group describing their house shaking on stilts as like they were in an earthquake.
What was the house, the casa?
Yeah, the house.
Terremoto?
Yeah, terremoto. Tiembla mucho, ¿no?
He also says he thought the storm would take the house, take them all, and everything would collapse and disappear because of the water and wind.
La agua y el viento.
For the people who stayed right there in that yellow house on stilts, they said that the storm for them lasted from Saturday until midday on Monday. Water was still here, the wind was still blowing. This is their first sense of relief.
Tengo 6 años de vivir aquí en la isla.
Rafael Lopez says he's lived on the island for 6 years and been through 5 hurricanes, but they were never like this one. This one was very similar to Katrina. Infrastructure is non-existent, and the island is described as uninhabitable, covered in at least 3 feet of sand.
As long as there's 1 grain of sand here, we will rebuild.
But as a place self-described as halfway to heaven, it seems Ida has made it a lot further than that.
Can of chili again. We're borrowing one of Brandon's friend's internet from his house near Baton Rouge. So you can see literally a line of Ethernet cable going directly into the car. We're trying to just upload as much video as possible from today because, you know, it's important video. Arguably the most catastrophic video out of the storm is out of Grand Isle, Port Fourchon, Leeville, and just right up the road there in the southern part of US 1 or Highway, Louisiana 1, Highway 1. I'm so glad I have this chili. This is better than nothing. Generated power, air conditioning at Brandon's brother's house last night. I think it's time to go home. Haven't had a meal. We had a shower though, it was incredible. Wasn't it?
The shower was pretty amazing.
Oh God. The simple things in life. Honestly, the shower was more important to me than the night sleeping on the couch.
No. Slept the night before. I hadn't showered the night before.
I've got to meet your dad and your brother in the span of like 2 months. All because of disasters. So.
Oh shit.
What?
It knocked over his garbage can.
Oh no. Let's see what that looks like and then we'll help clean up. Speaking of your dad backing into things, I got you. And so 5 days later, here I am in Jackson, Mississippi. No flights out of New Orleans. It's one of the most extreme hurricanes I've covered. The effects are going to be years and years for the people to try and recover, rebuild. I mean, probably weeks before anyone can even turn on the lights in New Orleans itself. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, like the page, and continue to support independent journalism. Thank you.